Hey, welcome back to Thinking Out Loud. My name is Theus Robinson, Complex Mind, Simple Man. And this particular stream is all about engaging with the Black community, where we're going to talk about our social dynamics. We're going to talk about our interpersonal relationships. We're going to talk about like education. We're going to talk about different things that affect us and that we affect in turn to really begin that process of marshaling our resources to do better by each other and for each other. I am of the Stokely Carmichael Kwame Ture tradition, which believes in the power of the masses, right? So, in order to do that, we have to get to a point where we identify that we have a community and we have a culture. Believe it or not, there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there who don't know or don't believe that we have a culture and that we actually have an identity to love and appreciate. And if you're one of those people out there who's struggling with, loving the skin that you're in appreciating who and what you are, then this may or may not be the place for you. But I hope you find some aspect of it that you can tie into, because you are enough. You're amazing. You got some work to do. We all got some work to do. But if you're willing to do that work, we can change a few things, right? So one of my biggest passions is education. So I'm going to talk a lot about education. On my other streams, you will find there will be content that comes out about Black economics, where I will specifically be talking about some of those things, like starting a business, personal finance, things like that. But over here, it's much more broad, a lot more vague. It's going to overlap into a couple different things, but it's really just talking to each other and getting back in front of the camera, getting back in front of you, so that we can, hopefully engage a little bit. Do a lot of mind dumping, right? Here's my view on the world, but that's all I got. I got mine, right? So, welcome to the channel. I appreciate you coming through. If you are a person who identifies as being Black, whether that's Black in the diaspora, which could be, you're from the mother continent, you could be from the islands or what have you, but you identify as Black, welcome. If you are Black from the standpoint of what my tribe is, when we call ourselves Black, those are descendants of American chattel slavery, right? So those of us who have been here, our family have been here since most of us can trace ourselves back to the chains, right? So welcome. These are the people I'm talking to, right? If you happen to be crossing my path and you are not someone who identifies as Black, right? Whether because you have Black skin, but you don't identify as being Black, hey, I'm not here to judge. That's you, but I'm not talking to you. If you're European, I'm not talking to you. If you're a Latino, unless you identify as Afro-Latino, I'm not talking to you. This is a conversation of me talking to us about things that matter to us, and I understand that I'm having this conversation wide open on the internet streets. That's why there's some things I'm still not going to talk about. There's some angles I'm still not going to go into, just because those are things that we have in person, saying behind closed doors. And as this continues to grow and we do those things, hopefully I can have some more of those conversations. I mean, I do it from time to time around my community, but I'm trying to step that up, right? Really, really get that in. But that's what this channel is. This channel, not really this channel, because this channel does politics, it does Black economics, and it does Black community. But that's what this particular video series is about. So welcome to Thinking Out Loud, talking to the Black community. If you got something you want to talk about, or you want a topic you want me to hit on, hit me up, man. Put a comment down, and what I'm saying, I'll either respond to it or I'll make it the topic on another video, and we just keep this thing kind of moving. I appreciate it. But if I don't hear from you, then I'll just talk to myself. I mean, I know I ain't got no real no audience yet. So if you wouldn't mind, like, share, and all that good stuff. But this ain't for everybody. It's not gonna be for everybody. And some of the things I say, you're not even gonna like. And that's cool too, right? Because I ain't gonna like everything you think. But I think it's worth us having some good conversation. Right? I want to talk about the dynamics between the black man and the black woman, the dynamics between, brothers and, the black man and the black man. I can't talk about black women and black women because that's y'all business. I don't know. But, just talking about those different things, talking about education, how important it is to our community, how we are right there in the crosshairs, so to speak, of these major changes, right? Where they go after the Department of Education, that's going after your children, that's going after my children. You may not recognize what some of those things are, some of you do, but this is major, y'all. So that's what we're going to talk about here on this particular video series. And I've talked your ear off enough right here, but come on back, we'll have more talk, we'll have actual targeted discussions, and yeah, let's do this. So again, my name is Theus, complex mind, simple man, and I'm just thinking out loud. Thank you for coming back for another Complex Mind, Simple Man, Thinking Out Loud installment. This one is on politics, in the vein of politics. And I just want to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about moving forward. There's going to be a lot of different discussions that'll happen over time. This one is really just my thoughts on the outset on one of the potential pathways that we can explore. Right. And now keep in mind that when I'm talking about politics, in this particular case, in most cases, I'm talking from the standpoint of just being politically on the left. Right. So this is not specific to Black politics. OK, now, that also being said, it's important to understand how I view politics. I look at politics as being, I look at all these different things as being tools. Okay. And when you're trying to build something and you're trying to accomplish something, you need your tools, and everything doesn't do the same job. So I'm talking about politics. I'm not talking about economics. I'm not talking about social. I'm not talking about social justice. I'm not talking about community. I'm not talking about those things at this moment. I'm only talking about the screwdriver that I'm holding in my hand, which is politics. And today I want to hit on some of my thoughts on the Green Party. So to get to where I am on that, I have to start with where I am on the current political landscape. Historically, okay, maybe not. I don't know if that's the right way to couch this, but no, and just so you guys understand, I don't write a bunch of stuff down because I'm really just thinking and talking out loud with you guys because I want it to be as organic as possible. So that's one reason I start and stop and do all that good stuff. But historically, I personally have always voted along the Democratic line, Democratic Party line, because the alternative has been Republicans. Now, there have been times where I've selected a local Republican candidate here and there, but in any election that I've voted in, I've always voted at the top of the ticket at the presidential level for the Democrat, except for in the case of Hillary v. Trump, when I did not vote for any of them. So what I will say here is my general synopsis on the Democratic Party, which I plan to do an actual video about. I keep forgetting to do it, so that's why I haven't dropped one. But the Democratic Party for me is done. All right. It is still an option on the table for when you have to do like some tactical maneuverings, right? Harm reduction type of thing, but much less so. So this previous election, 2024, if you listen to some of the things I was saying over the year leading into it, it's all about harm reduction. It's all about how do we, buy time. And Democrats lost. I think Kamala as a candidate ran a decent campaign, but She's a corporate Democrat. Democratic Party is a corporate entity. Um, they're they were more interested in protecting their existing power than actually representing people without power. So they showed their whole ass this go around. So I'm done with them, not just because they lost the election, but because, as I've broken out a few times in other discussions we've had, they literally suspended democracy in order to protect democracy. But then when fascism or pre-fascism won, they immediately disarmed and shook hands and went back to business as usual. So that let me know that they have reached the point, and some could argue that they've been here forever, but to me, they've reached the point where they're no longer useful. They cannot be relied upon to act in the best interests of people. Okay. And for me, one of the illustrating moments was having set Kamala up to fail, which I believe they did the entire time of Biden being in office. And let me also say, Kamala was not my kind of candidate. I actually wanted Elizabeth Warren as president. I say that a lot, but it's the truth. But I lost that one too. But they set her up to fail. They set Kamala up to fail. And then, having failed, after all that big talk about how dangerous Trump is, about how dangerous MAGA is, about how dangerous fascism is, about all that talk, you got Hakeem Jeffries basically saying, "Hey, let's just work it out. We'll help you where we can help you, but we still don't agree with you." Right? So that's not the kind of fighter I'm looking for. I need you to be able to stand on your principles and say, similar to what they said, as long as you have an agenda like this, we will oppose you on everything, even the things that seem like they will work in our favor or we might normally agree with. We will disagree when we will fight you on it because your overall agenda is negative. So you can't give me a piece of candy and then poison me over here. That's not okay. You can't break up my coalition by saying you're going to, let's say, help Black people, but you're going to go and terrorize trans people. You can't do that. And the Democrats haven't done that. Where they're like saying, "Hey, well, let's just pick and choose our battles." No, that's not how you fight. It's not how you fight. That might be how you govern, but in order to govern, you need to have a partner. And MAGA and the Republican Party have not been partners for more than 20 years. So, no, that's done for me. So, that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. So now it's like, okay, brings us to this video. We have to figure out what to do next, right? I'm not one of these people who just, lurches around. So what I say is one of the ideas to consider would be the Green Party. We look at these third party options. Now, my criticisms of third party options are well known. They're disorganized. They're poorly funded. They are more often than not identity cults in their own right. And they don't have a governing strategy. So what's the point? And normally that would still be the case. And to a large extent, it kind of still is. But we live in a different moment now. And this may be the perfect opportunity to really extract some changes and make a third party run serious 4 to 8 years from now. It could take 8 years, but first thing you got to do, you got to get in the candidate. But anyway, but now is the time, right? The Democratic Party is weak. They are 100% sold out to corporate interests and the gerontocracy. 100%. Before you could argue about the math. Now it's solid. When you freeze out AOC to put in a man dying of cancer who no one's even heard of, knows about, and he has no real impact or power outside of those little secret meeting rooms that you guys got running on. and then you won't, like, Nancy steps down, but she doesn't step away, so she's still pulling the strings behind Hakeem Jeffries. So what power does he really have? You shed off as many of the progressive leaders as you possibly can, and then the few firebrands you do have left, the young energy you do have left, like Jasmine Crockett, just as an example, you have no problem with her being out there doing the press tours and doing all the talking, but you don't put her in any leadership roles, right? You still got to keep them under control. You still got to keep them held back. And that's not a party that's going anywhere. So I say, let's start looking at some other options. And the first one that I'm considering is a takeover or infiltration or reshaping, whatever word makes it feel better to you, of the Green Party. I encourage you to go to their websites and check out the stuff. They say all the right things. There's a few things that I would, want to change or what have you, but that's me as an individual, and they're talking to a larger group. So I'm not looking for something that's in lockstep with me. I'm looking for something that overall fits me and I can see myself within, and is not acting or working to harm or disenfranchise those like me, right? And the Green Party fits that bill as far as their platform fits the bill. So I encourage you to go check it out. But my main criticisms of the third party, as I said, they're very disorganized. They go completely dark between election cycles. It's like they just try to save a little money in their piggy banks, and they don't even use free media to the extent that they can, and keep things going and have personalities rise that we can relate to. And then, like, this current version of the Green Party isn't even backed by their parent Green Party that's in Europe under a parliamentary system. So there's a lot of issues here. And my biggest criticism with the Green Party is Jill Stein. She's not the one. And I need you guys to realize that. She's not the one. I don't care if she has the best ideas, which I'm not saying she does, because I don't think she does, because her stance on how she approached Israel, yeah, it played good for the people who wanted to hear it, but it was totally irresponsible in my view. But she's just not the one. She's been running for a long time. She's become synonymous with the party. She's run 3 times, right? And the party's never gotten over 1% in the vote, from what I can tell. So obviously it's time to retool. I mean, when the Libertarian Party is getting more votes than you need to retool some things. So this is an excellent time to abandon the Democratic Party, force them to start fighting for our attention again, which goes to what I was saying before. So please consider going online or going to your registrar and removing your registration with the Democratic Party. Let them feel that they're losing people, because they are. I mean, they're losing us even if our registration didn't change. But so long as they have our registration numbers, they think they have support that they don't. Let them know they don't have the support. So I strongly suggest dropping that. I understand the cases for why you might not want to do that, because in many jurisdictions, like here in Georgia, it can impact your ballot access, especially in the primaries, right? But if we're going to look at shifting to the Green Party, who already has ballot access in, and I believe all the states, might be, a few missing that we need to work on, but you shift that energy to the Green Party, and now you can get more than 1%. You can get more penetration. You can get all of these different things, because now what the Democrats were getting from us, or the Green Party is now getting from us, right? That $20 donation, that $27 donation, that $100 donation, those small dollar donations that currently have been sliding over here to the Democrats, who mainly rely on, multinational money, because they just use the small dollar donations in the Democratic Party to make it sound like they're doing something. Same thing the Republicans are doing. But Shift that. So that means we shift our energy, we shift our manpower, we shift our resources to the party. And we do this as, even if it's just an experiment, we see what can we accomplish in the next 4 years, right? Now, in the next 4 years, I don't think the presidential thing is attainable, but it can truly be a disruptor. And I think that's valuable because that's going to speak into a different tack that I'm going to talk about later, which is more black focused, but it could also just be left focused. So I might explore it from both angles or one of them. But we can become a disruptive force. We're already a disruptive force. The young people, the queer community, the black community, all the different disenfranchised groups, we're already kind of flaky when it comes to when we go vote because we have different standards that we hold to. So the Democratic Party does their thing where they pander to us and all that. Cool. Make them pander harder. Make them come to us. Make them do town halls again. Make them actually have to beg and grovel for our votes and our attention. And if you decide that they're doing what you want to vote for them, then go ahead. But I really want to see us, like I said, this is about the Green Party. Focus on this one. Shift hard into it. Go all in as far as anything you have been doing for a different party, do it for this one. Okay? If you want to step it up, great. But at least do that. And now we can test it out. We can see, is there room for us to take over some local positions? Is there room for us to take over local organization, local Green Party chapters and organizations and make them stronger and more accountable and more visible? You know, you can do a lot of things. I know everybody gets caught up on the money, and the money is super important because that's how our game is played. But at the end of the day, votes are running off of the numbers. So you can still take over local elections and take over state offices just by marshaling numbers, right? Because the two main parties don't play that game. They just take it for granted. So you have the opportunity to run an inside route on them. And now you got 30,000, Green Party voters. You just took over whatever role you want, Secretary of State, whatever it is. You can shift that balance in your favor, right? Or at least get candidates that are going to have to talk to us and ask for us. So that's what I'm saying. Let's look at the Green Party, those who think like me, and we're approaching it from a tactical standpoint. I think if you go and you look at their platform, you'll find a lot that you agree with. But I'm not even really asking you to marry yourself to the platform because we're going to want to adjust that too. But see if it fits you, see if it makes sense to you, and then think about the opportunities, think about the possibilities, right? One of the other criticisms I pointed out was about the lack of a governing structure, a governing philosophy, right? So, like, how are you going to govern if you do win the presidency? Why are you always shooting for the presidency when you don't have any senators, you don't have any House members, your state positions are weak, right? So if we are willing to invest this next 8 years, not chasing the presidency, we got to change who's at the top of the ticket, what I'm going to say in a second, but not chasing the presidency, but really getting into the House and the state level House and Congress, getting into those chambers and getting membership in there so that the Republicans can get pushed back because they're taking over all that or have taken over most of it. And the Democrats ain't up for the challenge of fighting back. But what a Green Party can do, unique to what the other two can do, is it's much more populist, it's much more human, it's much more in touch with the things that we all as individuals say that we want, regardless of where we sit politically. So now you can get crossover, real crossover at the state level and start to shift who's writing the laws that directly impact you and me, wherever you live. So I really think that's a super important test to run. Like I said, 4 to 8 years, not trying to get the presidency. If we get it, cool. But really it's about, can we flex our muscles and take over different positions across the government landscape so we can show a lot of the disaffected and demoralized voters that, hey, here's a way that you can win. here's a way that you can get some victories, right? And if you study how people move and how groups function, those small victories will allow you to think it's possible for bigger victories. And next thing you know, in 8 to 12 years, we're literally vying for the presidency with a candidate or a ticket that is much more focused on fixing this thing we call the American government. Okay. And I would love to hear your thoughts on that. I think it's something we can definitely check out. But like I said, I was going to talk about one other thing. Jill Stein. This isn't the bash on Jill, because I honestly have paid her no mind. But look, the Green Party I'm showing here started in what, 96? Well, that didn't start in 96, but that was their presidential candidate, Ralph Nader. Right. So he ran twice. Showed David Cobb, whoever that is. He ran once. Cynthia McKinney, I remember her. She ran once. Jill Stein ran twice, 2012, 2016. Who is this? Howie Hawkins. Yo, I don't know who he is, but whatever. And then Jill Stein again. Right? The only names that really, really stand out to me here is Jill Stein and Ralph Nader. Now, I know who Cynthia McKinney is, but I'm just saying a lot of people may not. Ralph Nader and Jill Stein. Yeah, we got work to do, right? But to do that, or whatever the right, preposition or switch over or whatever change up it is, we got to build that candidate, right? So we got to keep them in front of us, right? They need to be talking and working and planning and strategizing with the potential supporters non-stop. If Jill Stein was serious, she would be campaigning all the time, every day, like she's running for president. She would be so exhausted, it would be ridiculous, because she'd have to constantly be in campaign mode for 4 years, as opposed to being in campaign mode for a year and a half. So who would that be? I don't know. I'm just going to throw out some names, and these are not qualified names. But you got your Julian Castro, wherever he went, after they chumped him off. I don't know. I shouldn't even say his name, because I don't know. I don't know who we will use, right? But there are youngish, talented people that we can get. There's some 50, 60-year-olds out there that have been in the game really doing the work. Well, bring them forward. I'd like to know who they are. And we keep them out there, and they actually go on a hard press for an extended period, and we can start to get more people to know who they are, so that when it's time to put out a ticket, we aren't sitting there like, who is Howie Hawkins, right? Like, anyway, but like I said, Jill ain't the one for me. If you keep running Jill, I'm not voting for it. You can go ahead and dead all I'm saying right now. You can dead that right now, because I don't see her as a president, right? I don't. Out of the whole list I named, I don't even know who Howie is, but I probably like him more than Jill, because Jill just seemed flaky to me, and I need her to go. I don't like her. I don't like her. Reflexively, I don't like her. It's like, this is, but it ain't about me. It's about what we're trying to accomplish. And if you are interested in prison reform, if you're interested in women's rights, if you're interested in either revising or abolishing the Electoral College, if you're interested in many of these issues, there's a place in the platform for you. So I think this would be fertile ground. I'd be interested in your thoughts. We can do more videos on it. I hope to get people on it. We can bounce ideas and do stuff like that. But yeah, let's bounce it. What do you think? What do you think? Green Party, right? I think it's a good look. I think it's something to check it out. But hey, just thinking out loud.